What if one of the biggest scandals in baseball wasn't over yet? What if the story that shocked the sports world is about to reveal secrets we've never heard before? That's exactly what's happening right now. ESPN has officially announced a brand new 6-episode podcast called The Betrayal of Shohei Ohtani, and it's bringing the gambling scandal involving Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, back into the spotlight. The series promises never-before-heard interviews, exclusive recordings, and shocking new details about how nearly $17 million disappeared from baseball's biggest superstar. Today, we're breaking down everything ESPN revealed, why this podcast is creating so much buzz, and what fans should expect. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani news. ESPN's famous 30 for 30 brand is stepping into podcast storytelling with one of the most talked about sports scandals of the decade. The first 2 episodes will be released on July 28th, kicking off a 6-part investigation that revisits the stunning downfall of Ippei Mizuhara. For many baseball fans, the story still feels unbelievable. Ippei Mizuhara wasn't just Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. He was his closest companion, his translator, his travel partner, and someone many believed was like family. Cameras constantly showed them together in the dugout during interviews and on road trips. Their friendship appeared unbreakable. But behind the scenes, investigators say something very different was happening. According to federal prosecutors, Mizuhara secretly stole nearly $17 million from Ohtani over more than 2 years. Authorities say the money was used to cover gambling losses with an illegal bookmaker. The revelations stunned not only baseball but sports fans around the world. The upcoming ESPN podcast is being told by investigative reporter Tisha Thompson, the journalist whose reporting first exposed major parts of the scandal back in March 2024. Her investigation changed everything. What makes this podcast especially important is that it isn't simply retelling headlines everyone already knows. ESPN says listeners will hear new interviews, behind-the-scenes reporting, and exclusive conversations that have never been released publicly. Perhaps the biggest attraction is Thompson's 90-minute phone interview with Ippei Mizuhara himself. According to ESPN, the call happened only 16 hours before her original investigative story was published. Even more remarkable, Mizuhara gave permission for the conversation to be recorded. To this day, that recording remains the only interview Mizuhara has ever given about the scandal. That's why baseball fans, journalists, and even legal experts are expected to tune in. During that conversation, Mizuhara reportedly claimed that Shohei Ohtani had personally helped him pay off his gambling debts. But only 1 day later, he completely changed his story. That dramatic reversal immediately raised serious questions. Soon afterward, the Dodgers fired Mizuhara on the same day they opened the 2024 regular season against the San Diego Padres in Seoul, South Korea. It became one of the most shocking moments in modern baseball history. As investigators dug deeper, prosecutors concluded that Ohtani had actually been the victim rather than a participant. Authorities said Mizuhara had gained unauthorized access to Ohtani's bank accounts and moved millions of dollars without the superstar's knowledge. Shohei Ohtani consistently denied any involvement in gambling and maintained that he had no idea the money had been stolen. Multiple investigations later supported that conclusion. Still, fans have always wondered one question: how could something this massive happen without anyone noticing? That question remains one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the case, and ESPN's podcast hopes to provide more context. The series doesn't begin with the theft. Instead, it goes all the way back to Ippei Mizuhara's life before he ever became Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. Listeners will learn about his childhood, his early relationships, and how he eventually crossed paths with a young baseball phenom in Japan. Their partnership began in 2013 with the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. When Ohtani decided to chase his major league dream in 2018, Mizuhara came with him to the United States. Over the years, the two became inseparable. For American fans, Mizuhara became almost as recognizable as many players on the Angels roster because he appeared beside Ohtani during nearly every interview. His role extended far beyond simple translation. He helped bridge cultural differences, coordinated daily communication, and became one of Ohtani's most trusted people. That trust makes the allegations even more heartbreaking. ESPN says Thompson also interviewed people who knew Mizuhara long before the scandal exploded. Childhood friends, former colleagues, and people from different stages of his life all contribute to building a fuller picture of who he was. But that's not the only exclusive interview. The podcast also features IRS Special Agent Chris Seymour, who rarely speaks publicly. In fact, ESPN says this marks the first interview of his career. According to the network, Seymour and prosecutors explain that Mizuhara's actions may have involved more than simply gambling addiction. They suggest there were additional motivations behind the crimes. Exactly what those motivations were is something fans will have to discover when the podcast is released. Another major interview comes from Matthew Bowyer, the illegal bookmaker connected to the case. Bowyer explains how his relationship with Mizuhara reportedly began during a poker game at a hotel involving Angels players. His perspective offers another piece of the puzzle. Bowyer himself later pleaded guilty to operating an illegal gambling business, money laundering, and filing a false tax return. He ultimately received a prison sentence and was ordered to pay significant restitution. His testimony may help listeners understand how the gambling operation expanded and how Mizuhara became deeply involved. ESPN has already revealed the titles of the first 2 episodes. Episode 1 is called The Letter O. Episode 2 is titled The Interview. Those episodes arrive on July 28th, with the remaining 4 episodes releasing every Tuesday and Thursday until August 11th. The timing is interesting. Shohei Ohtani is once again dominating headlines for his incredible performances with the Dodgers, as he continues building an MVP-caliber season and helping Los Angeles chase another championship. This podcast reminds everyone of one of the greatest personal betrayals any superstar has experienced. For Ohtani, the scandal could have permanently damaged his reputation. Instead, investigators ultimately cleared him of wrongdoing, allowing him to move forward with his career. Today, he remains one of baseball's biggest global stars. Yet, public fascination with the case has never completely disappeared. That's why this podcast is expected to attract not only baseball fans, but also listeners interested in true crime, financial fraud, and investigative journalism. The combination of exclusive interviews, recorded conversations, and behind-the-scenes reporting could make this one of the most talked-about sports podcasts of the year. Whether it uncovers major new revelations or simply provides a deeper understanding of how everything unfolded, fans are eager to hear every episode. One thing is certain. The Shohei Ohtani and Ippei Mizuhara story continues to capture attention because it wasn't just about money. It was about trust. It was about friendship, and it was about one of the biggest athletes in the world discovering that someone closest to him had allegedly betrayed him for years. Now, ESPN is giving listeners the chance to hear the story from the investigators, the reporter who broke the news, the bookmaker involved in the gambling operation, and even Ippei Mizuhara himself. The question is, will the podcast answer the mysteries that fans have been asking for more than 2 years? Or will it leave us with even more questions than before? We'll soon find out when the Betrayal of Shohei Ohtani begins streaming on July 28th. What do you think? Will this podcast reveal shocking new details, or is the story already fully known? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for daily Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani news, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another breaking MLB story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.